What's going on, everybody? Master Fi, co-founder of HipHopSuccess.tv, here with our second episode of Value and All. This is a show where I showcase individuals who are fans of hip hop culture and are also doing amazing things in the communities they're a part of and also the industries that they work in. My special guest today is Mr. Gary Davis. He is the founder and CEO of Next Level Boys Academy, located in Atlanta. And I want to invite him to the show today because I've been following him for some time, and the amazing work that he's doing down there, and he's active on social media, completely displaying the type of young men that he's working with, explaining the situations that they're in, whether they're in the courtroom or they're coming from, hard, rough families, and the situations that they're in, the way he gets them in his program and then transforms them into, strong Black men, confident Black men to move on with their lives is just absolutely amazing. So without further ado, Coach, go ahead and let Gary Davis join me on the show. Gary, what's going on?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, man. Hey, I'm very honored for you joining me on my second episode of Value and All. HipHopSuccess.tv is a platform where we showcase hip hop culture and the higher consciousness of the hip hop community. The work that you do is a perfect example of hip hop success, everything you do on a daily basis. And so thank you for joining my show.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome, man. It's a pleasure being on here, and I appreciate the support you've given me over the years. Looking forward to this evening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just to get started with our audience watching, can you tell them about yourself and then also the mission of Next Level Boys Academy?
Well, my name is Gary Davis, and I'm from the great state of Alabama, Roll Tide, and former educator. Did some things in the city, coming from Alabama, and probably about 9 or 10 years ago, after having several jobs, I decided to do something different, and that is start a movement for young men. And I started the Next Level Boys Academy on the day that former President Barack Obama was sworn in on his first term, and a few months later. That's when I resigned from my job. And a few months later, I started Next Level Boys Academy, which is an innovative mentoring program. We mentor roughly between 200 to 300 young men a year in our after school, summer camp, Saturday diversion program, and our athletic program. So we're probably ages 5 to 25. So that's basically what we're doing.
And I've seen that you share a lot on your social media when you're talking to, people that are middle-aged, also people that are young. Even today, I saw you were in some sort of discussion. I don't know how old the youth were, talking about drugs that were being done in school possibly, and what the climate and the environment's like in schools right now. Like having access to those kind of conversations and hearing it, most people probably won't think it's not happening, but when you hear it from the youth's mouths that it's actually happening, it's pretty shocking. I know you hear it all the time, but I love the fact that you give people that kind of transparency to really hear what's going on with the youth and also the issues that they're dealing with. My next question for you is what obstacles do you face and have to overcome when reaching out to young, troubled Black men in the situations that they come from?
One of the biggest challenges is when working with young men, I think because so many of them have been hurt by their fathers. So to get them to trust a male that they don't know much about is the most difficult part about running a mentoring organization, because unless you're consistent with them, unless you are adamant and genuine about what you do, it's so easy to lose them. So just getting them to trust me, spending a lot of time with them, trying to encourage them that I'm not here to hurt you, but I'm here to help you. And one of the most difficult things one of the most challenging things is to try to love a young man who's been hurt by a man. So that could be a little challenging.
And I can totally understand. I've mentored at-risk youth, and the trust is the common denominator to reaching out and connecting with at-risk youth. I've seen programs where they try to just teach them like on a curriculum kind of basis, almost like it's school. But the trust, if you don't establish the trust, you could throw all the books and all the classes that they need to take, and it's still not going to do anything. And then we already know how high school systems, a lot of them are set up for a lot of youth to fail. So I think when teachers and also mentors and organizers like you that understand that element of trust and gaining that from them first, which will get them to listen and really understand the kind of wisdom you're trying to give to them, that is what really helps them connect and move forward. Amazing work that you do, and the fact that you go live all the time is just amazing. I think if you don't follow Gary Davis right now on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, please follow him. He's an amazing page, an amazing academy that he's running right now. He's very heavy on social media, letting you know what's going on and the kind of work that he's doing. Now, on your mission, are there any other organizations that you work with in the Atlanta and Metro Atlanta area with what you do?
Yes, there are. Of course, there a number of young men have those mental health challenges that I'm not skilled to do. So there's a mental health provider that we work with that provides family counseling and individual counseling and Serenity Community Services. And we also partner with the courts. We partner with the local police departments, the local schools, churches, and but it's kind of hard. When you work with young men, to find a group of people that can commit to saving the lives of young men and mean it, that could be kind of challenging. So, but just partner with mental health agencies, different organizations to help them find jobs, help to get their GEDs. So those are some of the things that we're doing here in Atlanta with those young men.
That's awesome. And I mean, given the society we live in and the optics that are on law enforcement and the justice system, like what is your relationship with your organization and the courts and police departments? Do you have a strained relationship? Is it a good relationship? Like what is that like?
Well, I have a great relationship with law enforcement and the court system because I do know that is where people tend to take the seriousness of what young men are going through when they make it to the court system. One of the things I've had an opportunity to do here in Atlanta is to get the courts to believe in the organization. So I think the program that you mentioned earlier is our diversion program. So how that works is, say if a young man is facing prison time for armed robbery or aggravated assault or anything like that. So there are some courts and some judges who are, instead of sending them to prison for 10 to 15 years, they're sending them to Next Level Boys Academy, where we have an opportunity to rehabilitate them. And because there are so many good young men who are making bad decisions. So I just go into the court and I just get the judge to just to believe in what I do. And we've had a pretty high success rate. I think this is our 5th year doing it. I think out of 5 years working with a couple of hundred young men, only maybe 4 or 5 have gone back to jail. And but the rest are, young men that we're still trying to help them find their way.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Welcome back, Phil.
Hey, man, I'm sorry, man. You know how it is, man, with technology, man. We're trying to make it work, man. The last thing I caught was you explaining what the diversion program was.
Yes. Did you get an opportunity to hear that part? What I was talking about was the relationships that I've built with the courts over the years. Whereas there's a group of young men that I feel like are good kids who made bad decisions. So I'm able to go to court with them. And instead of the judge sentencing them to prison for 10, 15, even 20 years, they will in turn divert the case over to me, and we'll have an opportunity to rehabilitate them. We've been successful over the past 5 years where out of a couple of hundred young men, only 3 or 4 have gone back to jail. So we have a pretty high success rate in the diversion program. And so the goal to that is to get them either back in school or get a GED or get them working so they can be productive citizens. But most importantly, get a chance to vote.
Hello. Yeah, hey, Mr. Davis, that is such a good program. Like, I really hope that other organizers in many of the communities, especially Black communities where they can make a difference, adopt your system, because if we can create more, diversion or be able to divert young men into programs like and successful ones like you have the blueprint. I really hope other people can adopt that sort of system so that we can save young Black men who are over incarcerated, but don't give them that chance. Give them a second chance and put them in a system like yours for them to have a chance to be productive citizens. Like I really value this. Again, if you're not following Mr. Gary Davis and the Next Level Boys Academy, please follow him. I'm being serious. This man is making very serious moves that is impacting the Black community, young Black community as well, in a very, very positive way. My next question is, when it comes to the young Black men that you come in contact with and mentor and help, learn how to grow in a positive way, like what is the number one consistency that you see amongst troubled young Black men?
Consistency. One thing that I do know is that once they find out if something works for them, they're going to be consistent with it, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
So one of the issues we have, Phil, is that we don't provide enough positive opportunities to them. So what they'll do is they may find something that they know is illegal. They may find something that they know is not good for them, and they become good at it. And why do they become good at it? Because they do a lot of it. So the consistency and what we do is just try to always model a behavior, not a behavior being perfect, but a behavior of being to make the best out of a bad situation. Right. And one of the things that we try to do in our Saturday program is try to give them our stories. I mean, you may look at me and think that I don't have my own issues. And once I start sharing my stories and these young men hear how I've come out of it, no, it may not have been an armed robbery case or anything like that, but I do have my own issues and challenges going on a day-to-day basis. So, man, we just got to be consistent with showing them positive ways to do things. And we don't do that enough with our young men, specifically our young African-American males.
I see that another thing that I can understand that you do, because I had a good relationship with the at-risk youth I worked with, and I know you know about this too, is just giving them a safe space where they're not judged. I think a lot of positive programs tend to have some people that work in there and they mean good, but when you have that initial contact with them, when they tell you certain stories, they might, even if you're not vocally judging them, you might be with your body language. Like the kids coming from backgrounds like that are very sensitive to their environment. They know when someone's prying, someone's trying to get something out of them, someone's trying to, and they know who not to trust. Their guard is up. So trying to break down that guard to let them know that they can trust you and that you don't judge them. That's the underlying thing that I think is the hardest thing for people to reach at-risk youth, which obviously you have the blueprint, you've decoded it, you know how to get in and make an impact on these young men, which is absolutely incredible. My next question, of course, is like in the program specifically, like what kind of exercises do you have or activities that help young men learn like critical thinking skills, whether it's, therapy or community service? I mean, what kind of stuff do you guys do?
Yeah, we do community service projects. One of the things about community service I always say to people is that you teach them when you teach them to give, they're least likely to take. But if you look at the setup of our program, we really strive on model behavior. It's all about modeling a behavior. So you get a group of men who have the same goal that you have, and we just model a behavior for these young men, and hopefully they will ask, how did you get there? What does it take? So, but man, it's the way we do it is very innovative. It's very, very different. We don't overthink it because we just sit around and we just have adult men conversation that doesn't talk about crime, that doesn't talk about stealing a car or pulling a gun on someone. We talk about families. We talk about jobs. We talk about how we overcome our struggles. So Phil, the most important thing, man, is modeling a behavior on a consistent level. And
Right.
that is the thing that you got to do. You got to be consistent with it. And when you get in a young man's life, mentoring is when you get in there, you have to stay there until a positive outcome comes with it through the trials and the tribulations, through the ups and the downs.
That is so powerful. The fact that you want them to be consistent in their behavior, but if you're going to model, then you need to be consistent in their lives as well. And I'm sure many young Black men that look for mentors, they don't trust them less and less because they're there and then they're gone. God forbid it kind of portrays maybe the father figure or even mother figure that was there and then they were gone. They have every right to not trust people, so
right.
Back into that trust issue. We had a question from Bodex Alkin, that's one of our continued listeners. She asked, do you ever come in contact with young men who have experienced trauma, not necessarily have done anything wrong, but is your program open to, young men who experience some sort of trauma? And if you do, what do you do for them?
Yes, I'm guessing that's over 90% of the young men in the program, because trauma is a codependency most of the time to the behaviors that they're exhibiting.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I often say in the program is that, and we never talk about that, the adults who created these children have something to do with part of the trauma.
Absolutely.
But I have a young man in the program who lost his dad and whose father was murdered. So, but before his father was murdered, his dad spent time in prison. So when you look at that and you look at this person that you've always looked up to, that you met when you was, when he got out of prison and he was later dead, just that type of trauma, man, is what we talked about earlier. Can you get him to trust you? And the best way to heal trauma is through love. And,
right.
and consistently love and genuine love. And, you just love them through it, man. And when they want to talk, you be there. When they don't want to talk, you're not there. I remember a young man called me last summer. He was 18 years old and he had already went to prison and got out, did a couple of years. He called me and said, hey, I need you to come get me, but I was in the middle of something. I couldn't leave at the time. And he said, hey, no, I need you to stop doing what you're doing to come get me because I'm about to do something bad. So I drove on the other side of Atlanta. And when I got to him, he had 2 pistols on him. And he said to me, had you not come get me, I was about to go rob some people. So it's that type of thing, man, just kind of going above and beyond. That's just one of many stories that we have. But a lot of them have dealt with trauma, man. And that's why you got to get a group of people. I have a group of brothers, man, and ladies that's consistent with the program. And we just love on them, man. Just love them back to life. And that's the best way to treat trauma.
That's powerful, man. Like that's like superhero level type situations where like literally you could have saved a life. You definitely saved him from doing something bad, especially, being armed. And I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. I like the fact that you mentioned something about loving them wholeheartedly. I am looking at a post that you made, actually. I'm going to read it verbatim. He said, because I guess one of your kids showed a before and after picture of him, and now he's doing very well. Before, I guess he was up for some trouble and you were able to get him in the program. You said, get him in a suit before court, testify on his behalf, and let the judge know I got him. They'll send him home and trust your process. Happy to see this young man get another chance. Stop judging these kids as though you haven't made any mistakes. Just love them back to life. Like that's powerful. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, if you are not following Gary Davis, please follow this man. He's got the blueprint and he's doing the work on a daily basis. That's why I have him on my show. He's a perfect example of hip hop success. Like, thank you again. My next question is, in your opinion, with the state of the Black family, like, what does the state of the Black family have in the role that your organization plays with these Black young men? Is it a mix? Do you get mostly, nuclear Black families that are, single household, single mother, no father, both are there, and other traumas there? Like how does the Black family play in the role that you do with these men?
Society and the media will have you to believe that a majority of our issues are coming from single parent households. That is not the case with me. I have young men in my program who are college students, college graduates, two-parent household, a single mom, single dad. So I think that what happens, Phil, is there's a point, and when you're talking about young men, and we miss a mark at a very pivotal point of their lives. And that's when they're 4 years old. Between the age of 3 and 4, that's a very pivotal point. So it doesn't matter if mom and dad is in the home or just mom or just dad. If you don't catch that curve at the age of 4, you're going to probably have some repercussions for it later in life. So no, I've worked with all backgrounds, and believe it or not, in my after school program that I have, that is 90% both mom and dad. We have a Friday night mail room, MALE room. That is for that group of young men who are academically inclined, who's never been in trouble, but still need that male guidance. Right. And then on Saturday, and that population is probably 90% mom and dad in the home. And then the Saturday diversion program with the young men and with the criminal backgrounds and all that. Well, you would think that it's that at-risk youth that they've given them, because I think we're all at risk at some point, at some level. But that population, you got to think, although it may be a single mom or single dad, and what we never talk about on social media, I don't, but to get me involved, it takes an attorney that the family has retained for at least $10,000 just to reach out to me. So It's not about the struggling child. It's not about the single parent household. It's just that society, man, is creating another life for these young men. And some of these young men have created a world of their own. And while they was doing that, we was creating a world of our own. Right. And now we're playing catch up. And the bottom line is, man, you got a parent, whether you use 2-parent household, 1-parent household, it's all about parenting, man. I'm talking about on a high level with the battle of social media, music, technology. You got a parent on a high level in 2018.
I'm telling you, man, because if you don't raise them, the phone and the TV will. We actually have a question from a guest, Matthew Pena, Sergeant Pena. He said, how do we help those that miss that window in the ages of 3 to 4? If they do miss that, what else can parents do? Like, I mean, do you notice, signs that you did miss the window a little bit after, and try to, like what window, if they miss the 3 to 4, age range where they, really enforce that sort of obedience and, discipline, where else can they catch up? I mean, obviously it's a daily grind, when you have children, but what, if there are any parents watching, what advice would you give to them?
Well, because I deal with, in my program, I deal with young men ages 5 to 25.
Right.
So I catch them from kindergarten to even to some that's married.
That's
but
incredible.
When you miss that crucial point, there are signs that you will see. And one of the signs is, they're all young, 3 and 4-year-olds, their brains are like cement, wet cement. So it's kind of wet. You can shape it how you want to shape it and mold it how you want to mold it. But what happens is when you miss that, and I'm not saying it because I'm a mentor. If you have a son and there's a dad not involved, moms, with all due respect, you cannot teach your son to be a man. So you have to swallow your pride. You have to, not make this about self and get him connected to a mentoring program. And because with men, I think I was sharing this with someone today, that it doesn't take a whole lot of effort for men to get their point across to young men, because when a young man, whether he's 3, 4, 15, 21, when he becomes in contact with a male, he instantly wants to do what we expect him to do. And with moms, they typically do what they want them to do. And sometimes they kind of miss the mark in that, man. So, hey, if you missed it between 3 and 4, I'll say just get him back involved, man. Get him involved in a mentoring program immediately. Welcome back, Phil.
Hey, man. Hey, we getting through it, man. That was profound what you were explaining with the 3 to 4 age window. And if you missed that, what you need to do. And then also, that's a very touchy issue. A lot of women feel that they can raise a young man as a man, and, you doing the work, on a daily basis. I'm sure you understand the relationship of how a man reacts and, comprehends how a man says something as opposed to when a woman is saying it. Not taking anything away from women. You have a very vital role in a young black man's life too. But, it's very important that we, make clear how important a black male figure or any male figure is for another young man. I think it's very good that you mentioned that point.
I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Oh, so I asked, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So I was asking, I know rap has a lot of people feel rap has a negative influence on the youth and black men. Do you feel do you agree with that statement, or do you disagree?
I get that question often about rap music. Man, I don't know. I mean, it has just as much influence as a parent does, I could say. Because again, it goes back to what we talked about initially. What other options are you giving them? And I know, when you talk about rap music, and I'm not the one to degrade it because that's people's lifestyle. That's how people, take care of their families. But my suggestion to parents who have kids who listen to hardcore rap, one thing I would suggest that you do is you listen to it with them, so you can coach them through what the music is all about. So, because they're going to listen to it regardless. They're going to get to it. They're going to find a way. You got YouTube, you got all these different things that's out there. So what we'll do, man, is listen to the music, go over it, talk about the meaning of it, what all of it means, and break it down that way. So I'm not really one to degrade rap music. The music is damaging our kids, the social media. Man, it's just like teaching math, reading, language, arts, and history. You just got to educate them on everything they have access to.
No worries at all. No worries at all. So you don't think sonically the science of vibration, i.e. why people score movies can have a significant influence. I tend to think and believe that myself because when I was a young man, I grew up in the inner city. I'm literally a case study for you. I actually did some things very bad when I was young and got blessed not to do no serious time behind that, got my record still and all that sort of stuff. But I know that, every time that I was in that moment of what the youngsters call today being lit, most definitely I had my guys that was in my ear, or I had some music that was in my ear. So
Yeah, I
those are
mean,
my thoughts.
it depends. Well, it depends on each individual, and in regards to what you listen to, it's going to boil down to choices, Coach. So the music that I'm assuming we're close in age that we listen to is a little different than the music that is today. And again, when we were growing up and we listened to those rap artists back then, you may have an old school cat or OG say, hey, man, it's just music. But right now, they don't have that. And everything has influence over young men's lives, to be honest with you. But you got to be able to coach them through it. You got to be able to explain that everybody that's rapping about it is not really about it.
That's the jewel, right? That's that wisdom, man. That's what we try to explain to our audience, and our audience to explain to their families and friends the same thing. A lot of what you see, a lot of false idols, false prophets, false artists talking a game that they don't even live. And, just for image, you can't get caught up in the image and get caught up in the mix like that, especially as a consumer, especially as a young black man or even a young black woman. Like, you should be able to know the difference, but a lot of them don't because they're young. We can't judge them for that. But that listening to it with them and talking about what that means together, that is huge, man. I love that.
And I see someone have a question on here about what do you think damages young men the most when it comes to social media? Same way it's damaging adults. Social media is 1 second of somebody's life, if that. And everybody wants to highlight the goods, the highs of their life. And what happens is it sends a mixed message because you never know about the lows. So in order to stay on that consistent high that you see on social media, there are things you got to do to stay that high. You got to rob, you got to steal, you got to make unethical decisions. So, hey man, social media is not just damaging young men; it's damaging grown folk, everybody. So it's so much going on in the world, man. We just need more people like Phil to get the message out, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Me and my co-founders, Coach, Bam, artists like my son, people like you, Gary, you're doing really good work, man. You out there in the streets, in the mix, making a difference. It's very influential, very inspirational too. Now, I have to ask, what are 3 tips that you can give to organizers who want to make the same impact in their communities that you're doing in yours? Like, what are 3 tips you could give them?
One of the tips one of the 3 tips I would give in doing a mentoring program, man, and when you ask me these questions, oftentimes I don't, when I do things, panels or speaking engagements, I just try to be genuine, man. Because if I prep for something, sometimes it takes me out of the genuineness was about. Right. But to answer your question, man, I think mentoring is a lot harder than what I portray it to be. Because one thing about mentoring, especially when you are a man mentoring young men, you got to get over the foolishness that you're going on in your personal life just to be able to reach somebody. So I would think the first thing I would do, man, is I would just find a group of young men at a school, at a park, and just build from there. If you get a group of young people that you think believe in your struggles, who you think may buy into to all the things that you've done in your life, and at the end of the day, you have self-gratification behind it. So you build from there. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I'll be consistent with it. And, you'll see the different things that I do on social media with the diversion program, with the after school, with the summer camp. I think that's what you saw earlier today, the message on Facebook Live. That may not be your lane. So I didn't have a blueprint when I did this. There was not anybody that I modeled the behavior. There was not anyone that I was able to measure mentoring up to. Hey, man, I just found out a strength. I found my strength within myself. What do I do? And I've had my ups and downs in the 9 years I've had this organization. But it's one thing that I did know is that when I did fall, I had to make sure I land on my back, because if I look up, I can get up. So you have to be able to, you got to be able to find, what's best for you. As most people would say, stay in your lane.
Right.
And the third thing I would do, man, is to reach out to a group of brothers who could help you support your vision. And when I say support your vision, you mean you give them realistic expectations, meaning realistic expectations, Phil, is not about you demanding somebody to meet you at a mentoring session.
Right.
Realistic expectation is approaching a man to where he is and just say, hey, man, this is what I'm doing. And you have an open door policy. And that is how I operate, man. I don't demand anybody to come help me. And the guys that help me mentor, they mentor on a high level. And but man, those are the three things that I would tell people to do, man. The first thing I would do is just find a group of young men that's going to believe in who you are. Second thing I would do, stay in your lane, do what you're best at. And the third thing, get a group of brothers that help you believe in that.
That's real wisdom right there. I hope everybody out there taking notes. I mean, I got to record it, so I'm going to go back and get all the wisdom that you've been dropping too, man.
Okay, man. That's cool.
All right, man. So what are some goals that you're looking to accomplish personally and with NLBA in the next 5 years?
Some of my goals in 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I got a goal for tomorrow, man. 5 years, that's a long time. I just want to build a village, man. I just envision myself having, in some part of Atlanta, I just have a community where young men can just go and get everything that they need, man, from education to jobs. And, in 5 years, I just see me pulling up at this gate. And when you go in the gate, you got this gymnasium, you got this school, you got this place where, you're teaching, skills to be fathers. So, man, I don't know, man. I'm still trying to get through tomorrow, man. 5-year goal. I got a goal for tomorrow, man. That's to make yesterday better. So I can tell you about that goal.
Hey, man, that's love, man. And hey, that dream you were speaking of, you will have it, man. If there's anything that Hip Hop Success TV can do to help you do that, man, please don't be afraid to reach out. Please.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely, man. So my final question is, how has hip hop culture influenced your life in a positive way? Like how has it made Gary Davis the man he is today and able to do what he does?
Well, hip hop culture has helped me because it has proven to young people that the things that I say make sense. So, it's one of those things where, hey man, you get it. So, you can't, you got to find somebody to lead, man. And for you to be this successful, Phil, is one thing that I do know is you got an accountability partner. And so that's another thing that we try to do at Next Level with these young men, is connect them with an accountability partner that's close in age. Right. But with that hip hop culture, man, hey, it's I've had some very interesting artists in Atlanta that I've talked to over the phone who portray they about that life. But when you talk to them on the phone, man, they just little innocent boys that's trying to find their way. And I'm thinking that, there are so many people, celebrities, but I'm their celebrity. But man, hip hop proves daily that the things that I say really make sense.
That's awesome, man. And growing up, who did you listen to in hip hop? Like, what?
Man, growing up, man, I was I was Tupac, Biggie, LL Cool J.
All right.
I think when I was in college, Tupac was out there, and so just hang out with the brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi and all that good stuff. So we was on that Tupac back in the day, and I don't know, Uncle Luke from Miami. So the booty shake music and all that stuff was real big back then, man. So now they talking about kicking the door in and shooting your mama in the mouth, and man, I don't know where that come from, man. But I do know that the music that they're listening to goes through so many different levels of approval, and the people who has the final approval does not have the best interest of young black boys.
Whoa! What did you just? Please say that again. That is huge. What you just said.
The music that young people are listening to has so many different levels of approval. You may have a rapper who may talk about something that he's done in the hood or seen in the hood. Well, he's going to take that back to another level, and that has to be produced, and that has to be scripted. That has to be, nah, we don't want that. But the person who does the final approval does not have the interest of young black boys.
And you are on the front lines dealing with some of that negative influence. I'm telling you, on a daily basis. I know you're on the front line.
Yes, I front line, man. I'm telling you, from kindergarten to, they come in, I get them, man, when they don't know how to tie their shoes, the ABCs. And, I'm often told that I got dual personalities because Monday through Friday, I deal with kindergarten through fifth grade. And on every Saturday, I deal with young criminals. So I've seen it all, man. I've seen it from the beginning and in the middle and at the end.
Man, you are an amazing man, sir. Like I'm really enjoying my time in this conversation that we're having, man.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely, man. So in closing, man, do you have any, wisdom, any final words to give our listeners and audience for today and those that will watch this video later?
Man, any words of encouragement, wisdom I want to give is just reach out, man, and touch a young man's life. I'm sure, you're in Philly and you all are in Vegas and you have people from all over the U.S. that's watching this interview. And if we don't get control of the crime and all the things that these young men are doing right now, they're going to violate everyone. And this gang activity, this lack of interest in school, all of that boils down to everybody not want to play their role. Right. And I believe, they say we don't have enough mentors, man. I don't agree with that because you got to think. My job is if a young man sits in my program, if he's 17, 18 years old for a year, you best believe he's going to be at somebody's middle school, elementary school mentoring. So give back, man. Reach out. Help these young guys, because if you overlook them, trust me, you're going to pay for it. And I've said this on radio shows and interviews, and I always leave this saying: if we don't get control of the crime, they're going to put this entire nation under a curfew. If you look at it now, here in Atlanta, police officers posted up at gas stations. That's stuff in third world countries, all because of crime. How can you prevent that? Just go and give back, man, and help these young people, man. So that's my advice, Phil.
Powerful words, man. Mr. Gary Davis, again, thank you for joining my show today and being a very special guest. Where can they find you on all social media? Anybody that's watching, how can they get in contact with you and your organization?
You have my Facebook page, Gary Davis. I'm on Instagram, Next Level Boys Academy. That's Next Level Boys with the S Academy. Twitter, Gary Davis, NLBA. LinkedIn, Gary Davis. And I haven't made it to the Snapchat and all that other stuff, man. I'm still trying to. But Gary Davis on Facebook, I think I've shared this, I've tagged this, and you've done it. Instagram, we have a lot of information. We have a YouTube, a Next Level Boys Academy YouTube page, man. And just follow us. And I post something every day. and it's not about what I heard, but it's what I deal with head on.
I feel it, brother. Hey, Mr. Gary Davis, thank you for joining our show, my show today, Value in All. Very special guest. If there's any way that we can help you again, please let me know. I'll be coming down to Atlanta soon, and in the future, man, I'd love to come to the center and, see what's going on and even be a mentor to some of those young men too. I'd absolutely love the opportunity.
Absolutely, man. Set something up in Philly, man. I could come up there and we can do this great event in Philly this summer, man. And you set it up, I'm there.
Oh, for sure. Philly, Pittsburgh, wherever, man. We'll get you up here, man. You're too important, man. We got to get you out here, man.
Okay, man. Appreciate you, Phil.
All right, Gary, man. You take it easy, bro.
All right. Thank you.
Peace. Again, everybody, the guest for episode 3 of Value in All. It's Master Fi, co-founder of HipHopSuccess.tv signing off. Please share this incredible clip with your friends, family, and all your social media so we can get the word out on these incredible guests that I have on this show, like Mr. Gary Davis. So you guys have a good night, and I'll talk to y'all soon, all right? Peace.